Welcome back to Bexhill West. I'm James. Thank you for joining me. Well, the subject of today's video is the station platforms, or more specifically platform 1 and 2, which supported the canopy which ran its full length. Now, I've built this before, and my intention in rebuilding this new version of Bexhill West was simply to lift the old platform off of the old board and sort of throw it down on the new one. And that would be fine, except I plan to make some changes to the canopy. And in thinking about that new canopy, which ultimately is going to be etched brass, I thought, could I do something about the columns? Now, they were never fitted that well before. The columns sort of pressed into holes in the platform surface, and there was a bit of wobble, and no doubt I could have glued them in place a lot better than I had done. But even so, I thought it would be far superior if I could come up with a sort of mechanical fastening. So what you can see me doing here is constructing part of the structure of the new platform, and I'm incorporating into it some M3 nuts. Now those nuts will be captive, and that will take the bottoms of the canopy columns, which will be threaded, so I can screw those directly into the platform and they'll be removable. So I can set the whole thing up, dial it in, get all the heights and everything kind of set up with a level, make sure it's all perfect, and then ultimately I'll be able to fasten those in with a bit of Loctite. But this arrangement will create for something which is sort of fairly easy to set up, take down, and should be repeatable. The columns shouldn't wobble before I finally, commit to gluing them in. So what you can see me doing here is just breaking out some little laser cut frets that I've made. I'll put the drawings for this up on the screen, and you can sort of get a feel for what's going on here. It's not rocket science, quite straightforward really. Certainly I could have saved a lot of time and just used the previous platform, but I thought, well, whilst I'm in rebuilding everything else, it's not such a lot of extra work, and I'm glad I have done, because it's enabled me to make a few changes. There's one or two errors that I had made previously, and I've been able to correct those. So as this video proceeds, we'll go on, we'll have a look at the construction of the platforms themselves, and I might even hint towards next week's video, which will show some of my thinking with the canopy itself. Now, at the point of recording this, I've got it all mocked up in its basic form, and it really, I think, looks quite impressive. So we'll press on with this video and work towards that, which will be coming up next time. Thanks for watching. Now, as anybody who's ever watched more than a couple of my videos before will know, no sooner do I complete a project than I think, oh, hang on a minute, that could be done better, and I do it again. So this platform you've just seen me construct is actually being relegated to secondary duties. This is going to form platform 3, which is the overgrown, sort of slightly less loved of the two main platforms at Bexhill. And the reason for that is simply I made a bit of an error with some of the maths in terms of working out the positions of the canopies, or the canopy columns, and so some of these cross members are in the wrong place. Now it doesn't really matter, I could just break them out and re-glue them, but I thought, well, I need 2 platforms anyway, so I may as well use this structure on the other side, and that would give me the opportunity to incorporate a couple of additional features. So what you're now looking at is the Mark II of the Mark II versions, the Mark III version, I guess, and that's incorporated a couple of detail changes, greater support for the centre of the platform. Now, I don't imagine the platform, particularly because it's under the canopy, is ever going to be subject to any wear and tear as such, but even so I wanted it to be really robust. So there's a central spine that runs underneath the central paving slabs, and I think that's going to stiffen it up no end. Now, at the time of filming, I'm waiting for the correct material for the platform tops, and also the brick corbelling detail, which you haven't seen me include yet, simply because I haven't got the material for it. So what I've done, just for the purposes of this video, is I've used slightly thicker material for these platform tops, just to show you what's what. And yeah, it all seems fine. Now, in this shot, I've sort of set it all up. I've used some cocktail skewers as temporary columns, and I've put the embryonic Mark II station canopy set up on it. Now, as I've said before, this is ultimately going to be done in brass, I think, but I wanted to see how good could I get it using sort of timber materials. And it's not bad, and next week's video we're going to look at this in greater depth. But I just thought I'd give you a quick look. Obviously it's not painted and it's all just balanced at the moment, but I think it's looking pretty good and I'm quite pleased with how it's turned out. So there you go, that's an overview of the platforms for Bexhill West. In the next video we will be looking at the canopies, and also hopefully the material for the brick corbelling and the platform surfaces will have turned up, so we can maybe do a little bit more work with that also. Hopefully also by the time the next video comes out I'll have got the columns made correctly and we should see this whole concept sort of come together nicely. I'm particularly interested in looking at the junction between the main platform canopy and the concourse canopy, and I think when I stick a camera in there that's going to look pretty good. So I'm pleased with that. Look forward to next week's video when hopefully I can show you some more. So until then, thanks very much for watching. Cheerio.